Hello guys, so happy Wednesday, hump day, episode 68. God, we're nearly in triple figures, hey? I wanted to do a video today on ketogenic diets, and if you're on YouTube and like cycling, you've probably heard of Francis Cade. He did a video a few days ago which kind of inspired me to talk about this subject today. So he spoke with a nutritionist all about how being on a high-fat, low-carb diet can aid your cycling or help your cycling, and I think it's a great watch, so it's definitely worth going to look at it. But I wanted to give you my experience because it's not many people can say this, but I actually trained and put myself into kind of like a heavy ultra endurance race style trip while on a ketogenic diet, and I wanted to give you my opinion on how it affected me. And if you are considering doing it, please hear me out and let me help you with the pitfalls of it. So firstly, I've done a lot of ketogenic diets before. I used to use them a lot to lose weight, and I do enjoy them. I can't lie. I love the diet, and although it's very restricting because you're not allowed kind of carbohydrates or sugars or things like that, although very restricting, it kind of works for me because I'm a bit all or nothing anyway. So I didn't find the actual diet that crazy. So I followed mainly the Atkins diet, and I really enjoyed it. It's a lot of heavy fat, heavy meats, lots of protein. So it was okay. It was doable. But when it came to training, I didn't mind the short sessions. If I was to go doing like an hour on the bike, it wasn't too bad. I had the energy there. It seems like there was a lot of glycogen, so that's kind of like energy in your muscles. That was all there. It just worked. I liked it, and I felt full after my meals as well, so that was a big thing. When it came to like 2-3 hour sessions, they weren't too bad either. I noticed that I would flag a lot more to the end, but it was manageable, it was maintainable. But obviously on shorter sessions, you're normally doing higher intensity, and I struggled with the high intensity stuff. Anything over about 2 hours made it really difficult. Then it came to the big 6 hour, 7 hour sessions. They didn't feel too bad. Providing that you could fuel right, they weren't too bad. But fueling's hard. It's not like you can eat like a silly amount of cheese each day or a silly amount of meat. And I found I was having to drink a lot more water. And a lot of the time that's because it helps your body digest proteins and things like that. That can take up water and stuff like that, from what I've been told anyway. But it wasn't easy to fuel. Although it seems like you could get a lot of calories from stuff like nuts and cheese and, fatty meats, it's actually very difficult, and it does make you feel quite lethargic when you're having to eat quite a lot of it. Then I decided, after doing all this training and losing a shed load of weight, I decided to give a trip a go on it. So I just had my Linsky built up. This was 2-3 years ago, and I decided I was going to make my way down to Portugal and ride there to go and have a look at somewhere to live, which was a bit of a long story, but I'll come back to that another day. And I took the ferry down there, cycled. First day wasn't too bad, but I noticed that yet again it was getting food, and you go to like a gas station or something like that, and you're really struggling to find anything that's going to suit you on a ketogenic diet. The first day, I think I cycled for about 12 or 14 hours, and I was okay. It wasn't too bad. I kept it in zone 2, a nice, easy place to be, zone 1, zone 2, and, the body worked across from there. But waking up the day after, when I'd got into Spain, was very tough. It was really soul-destroying, and I just felt as though I hadn't had any recovery. Even though I had food and had been eating, I was really feeling quite lethargic and felt as I'd eaten too much, but I felt hungry and underfueled. So I made my way out that day, carried on cycling, and I started to get into some big climbs. And this was in, I think, northern Spain, Bilbao, I think it's called. And do you know what? As soon as it got steep, it got tough. And it wasn't that I was working too hard. It was just genuinely really hard to turn the pedals to get up this climb. And I remember getting to the top and being like, God, it's so early in the day and I feel destroyed. I really feel like I've had a hard time right now. Then it started to rain, I started to feel cold, and because I was quite skinny at the time, didn't really have much body fat, so that wasn't really doing me much favours either. And I was looking at how many calories I'd kind of had on the day, at the end of that day, and there was nowhere near the amount I could get if I could eat stuff like chocolate and Haribo and big French baguettes and things like that. So the next day was very tough again. I was really struggling just to get anything in the legs, but it was quite a flat day, so it didn't really get to me too much. My mood wasn't as good. I found that it was harder to be in a good mood without having carbs, and you know, life is carbs, what can I say? It was tough. It mentally made me feel really drained and physically very drained, and I was just kind of eating the odd bit of vegetables and all just like heavy cheeses and meats, and it made actually me feel really ill. And I could physically see at the end of the second, third night of this trip, me looking so lean, and I found that my body wouldn't hold water as well as it would do on carbs. And this is something I'm not sure the entire science behind this, but for me, carbs seem to hold water. So it's a lot easier to hold water and not feel so dehydrated. I found that when I was on this high fat, low carb diet and trying it bikepacking, I'm weeing all the time because my body just didn't seem to want to hold water. It just wanted to flush it out. It was a really odd situation. So it got to about the fourth day, and I remember looking in the mirror on the third night after staying in this hotel somewhere in Portugal, and I looked so lean. Like, I had abs and everything, muscles here and there, but I felt so weak and I felt so ill, and it was so tough just to do anything. And I started cycling around 7 a.m. and I remember stopping at a bakery because I just couldn't get food anywhere else, and I must have bought some cheese and some ham or something, came out, ate that, and I just sat on the side of this pavement thinking, I'm not even riding that hard on this trip and I'm suffering so much. And I went back in, and I hadn't really eaten any carbs for a very long time. I came back out with some pano chocolate things, some of those Portuguese custard tarts, and a muffin. I think it was a muffin. I can't really remember. And I ate them, and an hour later, I felt like an absolutely new man. And that changed everything. And for the rest of that trip, I stayed on carbs, and I can't believe how much better I felt. I felt like my water even had an added benefit. I felt as though it wasn't just going straight through me. I was actually processing it properly. My mood lightened. I felt happier. By the time I'd actually got to my next hostel that I was going to stay in, I remember having a wash, and after a day of eating carbs, and my muscles looked bigger. I looked healthier, and it really helped me. And I found that, trying this low carb in a case where I was cycling 10, 12 hours a day was very difficult in this ketogenic state. And it was just so hard to keep on top of the food, the water. Even on the diet, they recommend that you should take multivitamins because you miss out on some of your essentials while you're on this. And I personally, I think if you're trying to lose weight and you've got quite a bit of weight to lose, then keto is one of the options you can do, but I'm not going to personally recommend it. Personally, every diet is just a calorie deficit. So that means that you just need to eat less calories than what you're burning and you'll lose weight. So no matter how you get that, it could be through keto, it could be through loads of other diets, but keto's a tough one to do, and you'll read a lot about, I felt in this state where I just was burning my own body fat. I've done it so long, and I've never felt in a state where I'm, on fire with my own body fat. It's a bit ridiculous if I'm brutally honest, But to people that are keto, hats off. I couldn't do it. I think if it was general day-to-day life and I was exercising for maybe 2 or 3 hours, a day max, I could probably get away with being keto. But for ultra distance and bike packing, it just didn't work for me. My power was low, my heart rate was all over the place, and I just felt so crap the whole time doing it. And this is me talking about riding, 10, 12 hours a day. So to summarize, I think ketogenic is an interesting diet and it works for some, doesn't work for others. I probably wouldn't so much recommend it myself, but you might see me one day actually go back and do it again if I need to lose weight quite quickly. But in my opinion, I really would question your ability on the bike anything over 3 hours, because it just makes it so tough, and it just feels uncomfortable all the time, because you just feel like you're on the back foot. With kind of like carbs, you have a big meal while you stop, and then when you get back on the bike, you feel on the front foot again. You feel like you're ahead of everything. But with this keto, because you're just waiting for this all to digest and you to burn this body fat to give you some energy, or the fat that you're eating, it just made me feel crap the whole time. So in my opinion, I think it's good if you're doing short things. You could probably get away with, let's say, some short 2-3 hour zone 2 rides, then fine. But anything like bike packing, you can kind of get away with it if it's a pretty fat race. But when you start getting to mountains where you need to actually put some big effort into the bike, yeah, it's a really difficult way of going, if I'm brutally honest. But anyway, guys, that's coming from me experiencing it. So that's just my opinion. So if you are keto and it works for you, I'd love you to leave a comment. You know, tell me how it affects you, because I'm very different to everyone else. You know, everyone else is very different to me. So it might work for some with bike packing. It might not work for some. I think if it was amazing for bike packing, then we would have seen more athletes doing it in races and things like that. But I guess we haven't. So maybe it just doesn't really work. But it didn't work for me, and I probably would do the diet again one day. I'm not going to lie about that, because it's just a really easy way of shedding weight really quickly, and it works for me personally, but I probably wouldn't recommend it to anyone else. And that's such a weird thing to say. Anyway, guys, if you liked this video, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys tomorrow.